Picture this. Your high school dropout buddy just bought a Tesla. Meanwhile, you're drowning in student loans with a master's degree, working 2 jobs to afford rent. What the hell happened? In 2021, a college dropout named Sam Bankman-Fried built a crypto empire worth $32 billion. Zero finance background, just confidence and chaos. Around the same time, your PhD economist friend got rejected for a $50,000 a year position. Princeton researchers discovered something disturbing. After an IQ of 120, additional intelligence doesn't increase earnings. Sometimes it actually decreases them. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, just not for the people you think it should. Today you're going to learn the uncomfortable truth about why smart people stay poor while complete morons drive Lamborghinis. And it's going to piss you off. 500 years ago in Renaissance Florence, a political advisor named Niccolo Machiavelli watched something that would haunt him forever. The Medici family, basically the mob bosses of banking, seized control of the entire city. These weren't good people. They were ruthless, manipulative, and completely shameless, and they became obscenely wealthy. Machiavelli served the previous government, the one that actually tried to be ethical. They lost everything. Exiled and broke, Machiavelli wrote The Prince from his crumbling farmhouse. One line from that book explains everything you need to know about money. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Translation: appearance beats reality when it comes to getting paid. People can't see inside your head to measure your actual competence. They can only see what you show them. And what you show them matters more than what you actually know. Machiavelli described Cesare Borgia, a prince who literally murdered his enemies at dinner parties. This psychopath accumulated wealth equivalent to billions in today's money. Why? Because he projected absolute power and certainty. Investors backed him because he was virtuous, but because he looked unstoppable. Now scroll through Instagram. Girl posing next to a rented Bentley, selling a course called 6 figures in 6 months. Thousands buy it. She's not rich. She just looks rich. Machiavelli would recognize this hustle immediately. The system doesn't ask if you're actually good at anything. It asks if you look successful. And if you're too honest to fake it, you've already lost the game before it started. But why are incompetent people so insanely confident? In 1995, a guy named MacArthur Wheeler robbed a Pittsburgh banks in broad daylight. No mask, no disguise, just his regular face. When cops arrested him that night, Wheeler was genuinely shocked. "But I wore the juice," he protested. Wheeler had covered his face with lemon juice because he knew lemon juice makes invisible ink. In his mind, this would make him invisible to security cameras. His confidence in this idiotic plan was absolute. This bizarre case caught the attention of psychologists David Dunning and Dunning-Kruger at Cornell University. In 1999, they published research that changed how we understand human stupidity. They tested people on grammar, logic, and humor. The results were staggering. People who scored in the bottom 25% rated themselves in the top 62%. They overestimated their abilities by more than 5 times. Why? Because the skills needed to do something well are the exact same skills needed to recognize if you did it well. If you suck at something, you literally cannot know that you suck. Now apply this to business. Adam Newman created WeWork, basically a company that rents desks. Nothing revolutionary, nothing unique, just office space with beer on tap. But Newman talked about elevating human consciousness and convinced investors his company was worth $47 billion. $47 billion for a desk rental. How? Pure unshakable confidence. Experts saw through the bullshit immediately, but investors saw certainty, and they bet on certainty. A 2020 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology proved it. People displaying overconfidence receive 35% more investment funding, regardless of their actual competence. The system doesn't buy expertise, it buys confidence. And the most confident people are those who have no clue how incompetent they actually are. When's the last time you saw a billionaire who doubted himself? Now let's talk about something darker. Not just confidence, but actual clinical narcissism. Research from the University of British Columbia found a disturbing pattern. People with narcissistic personality traits earn on average 27% more than their equally qualified colleagues. Why does the economic system reward a personality disorder? Because narcissists do things normal people won't. They don't doubt themselves. They don't see risks. They don't fear failure. Look at Elon Musk. Whatever you think of him, his behavior displays textbook narcissistic traits. Grandiose promises, colonizing Mars, brain implants, tunnels under cities. Most experts call this delusional, but his net worth exceeds $200 billion. Why? Because narcissism gives you the balls to make baits that any sane person would never take. Or take Elizabeth Holmes. She founded Tyrannos, promising revolutionary blood testing from a single drop. The technology never worked, physically impossible, but her absolute conviction convinced investors to pour in $9 billion. $9 billion into technology that literally couldn't exist. This isn't just lying. This is narcissistic capacity to believe your own mythology so deeply that others start believing it too. Psychologists call it the Dark Triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. A meta-analysis in personnel psychology examined 54 studies on leadership. The conclusion is chilling. People with Dark Triad traits are more likely to become leaders, but companies under their leadership show 31% higher volatility. They're not better leaders. They just interview better. The statistics get scarier. Among Fortune 500 CEOs, 21% display psychopathic traits. In the general population, that number is only 4%. The system doesn't just tolerate narcissists, it actively promotes them to the top. Isn't that why your ethical boss never gets promoted? The nice guys don't finish last by accident. The game is rigged for assholes. What if the problem isn't the system but your morality? Friedrich Nietzsche in 19th century Germany wrote something that explains everything. In Beyond Good and Evil, he divided humanity into two moral frameworks: master morality and slave morality. Master morality says strength is good, weakness is bad, success is virtue, power is righteousness. Slave morality says the opposite. Humility is good, pride is sin, wealth is evil, poverty is noble. Nietzsche wrote what is good: everything that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. Think honestly. Which morality do you follow? If you believe honesty matters more than money, you're a slave. If you feel ashamed to brag about success, you're a slave. If you feel guilty earning more than others, you're a slave. And the system rewards masters. Take John D. Rockefeller, the wealthiest American in history, who monopolized the oil industry through ruthless competition. He destroyed small businessmen without hesitation. He literally said competition is a sin. Slave morality would call him a monster, but he died with wealth equivalent to $400 billion in today's dollars. Or look at Jeff Bezos. Amazon is infamous for brutal working conditions. Workers peeing in bottles because there's no time for bathroom breaks. Union busting. But Bezos made $150 billion. Harvard Business School research showed companies with the highest ethical standards earn on average 23% less in their first 5 years. Honesty costs money. Ruthlessness makes money. This doesn't mean you should become a monster, but it does mean your morality might be the reason you're broke. The system doesn't ask if you're a good person. It asks if you're strong, and if your goodness makes you weak, you've already lost this game. Nietzsche wasn't celebrating this. He was just telling the truth nobody wants to hear. But even if you're willing to be ruthless, there's another problem. You think too much. Stanford University research found a weird pattern. People who make decisions quickly get 40% more opportunities per year than those who analyze extensively. Why? Because while you're thinking, someone else is doing. Imagine the real estate market. Great apartment pops up at a good price. Smart person orders inspection, checks documents, consults lawyers. Takes 2 weeks. Impulsive person sees apartment, decides in an hour, puts down deposit. They buy. Smart person ends up with analysis. Who gets rich when prices rise? The person who acted fast. Or take cryptocurrency. In 2011, Bitcoin cost $1. Experts analyzed the technology, identified risks, read white papers. They saw scaling problems, regulatory risks, volatility. They didn't buy. Regular people with zero technical knowledge bought, because sounds cool. By 2021, Bitcoin hit $69,000. Research on early Bitcoin investors showed 78% of people who bought before 2013 had no financial or technical education. They were dumb enough not to see the risks. Psychologists call this the knowledge curse. The more you know, the more reasons you see not to act. Knowledge creates fear. Ignorance creates courage. Analysis paralysis. You've heard this term. Smart people analyze so thoroughly, they lose the ability to act. They see 100 ways to fail and 0 paths forward. Meanwhile, some dropout sees one path. Try it. He doesn't know about the 99 ways to fail. So he tries the 100th. And sometimes that 100th way works. How many times have you thought so long about an opportunity that it disappeared? How many times did your intelligence save you from risk, but also from reward? The system doesn't wait for your perfect analysis. It moves at the speed of impulse. And by the time you've finished thinking, someone dumber already won. Here's the most painful truth. Your brain is worthless without connections. Harvard research showed 70% of jobs never get posted publicly. They're filled through personal connections. Your honors degree loses to one phone call from the right person. Why do idiots get rich? Because they're not afraid to ask. Smart person thinks I don't deserve to ask for help until I become an expert. Person without expertise thinks I'll ask now. Figure it out later. Psychological science research found extroverts earn on average 25% more than introverts with identical qualifications. Not because they're smarter, because they talk more. Imagine to people. First has a PhD in psychology, writes brilliant papers, sits in their office. Second finished a 3-month coaching certification, but knows 100 people and isn't afraid to pitch their services. Who earns more? The coach without real credentials. Always. Millionaire statistics show 80% of wealthy people attribute their success not to intelligence, but to connections and relationships. Thomas Stanley researched thousands of millionaires for his book The Millionaire Next Door. Shocking conclusion. Average millionaire IQ is 118. That's slightly above average, but not genius. Their real advantage. Networking. They know people who know people who know people. Your loneliness isn't intellectual virtue, it's economic catastrophe. While you're perfecting your skills in silence, someone with half your knowledge, but double your connections is getting contracts, investments, opportunities. The system doesn't ask what you know, it asks who you know. And if your answer is nobody, your intelligence means nothing. This is why tech brothers with mediocre coding skills, but great social networks become CTOs, while brilliant introverted programmers stay junior developers forever. There's another reason your brain is killing you. It sees too much. University of Michigan research showed people with IQs above 130 take 60% fewer risky decisions than people with IQs around 100. Why? Because they see every way to fail. Smart person looks at a business idea and sees regulatory risks, competitors, scaling problems, tax implications, legal traps. Person without expertise sees people will buy this. Who starts the business? The one who doesn't see obstacles. Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard to sell software when the market didn't exist yet. Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College and built computers in a garage with no business plan. Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook from his dorm room, breaking dozens of university rules. These weren't careful, well-thought-out decisions. These were impulsive leaps into the unknown. Research on dropout billionaires showed 45% of the wealthiest tech founders quit school. Not because they were stupid, because they didn't see the obstacles that would have stopped smarter people. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German philosopher, wrote from a Nazi prison, "Against stupidity, we are defenseless." He watched educated Germans support Hitler. They weren't stupid, but they turned off critical thinking, which gave them freedom to act. The paradox is this: ignorance can be a form of freedom. When you don't know all the risks, you're not paralyzed by fear. You just act. Your cognitive load, all that information in your head, becomes a prison. The ignorant person walks free because their head is empty. And in an economic system that rewards action over analysis, an empty head can be a competitive advantage. How many times did your intelligence save you from a mistake, but also from a breakthrough? All right, you get the problem. Now what do you do? First, accept reality. The system isn't fair. It's efficient for certain types of people. You won't change the system, but you can change your strategy. Jeff Bezos has a 70% rule. If you have 70% of the information, make the decision. Waiting for 100% means you're too late. Start making decisions faster. Set a timer. 48 hours for any major decision. No more. Second, cultivate strategic narcissism. Don't become a psychopath, but learn to project more confidence than you feel. Actors do this every day. You can too. Before important meetings, repeat "I know what I'm doing." Even if you don't fully, your brain and body will believe it. Others will too. Third, invest in social capital. 1 hour of networking is worth more than 5 hours of studying. Meet one new person every week, not for manipulation, but for genuine connections. Statistics show every new strong connection increases your income by an average of 3% per year. Fourth, limit analysis. When you feel stuck in overthinking, ask yourself what's the worst that could happen. Usually, the worst isn't that bad. The fear in your head is bigger than actual risk. Fifth, learn from confident idiots. Watch what works, not why it works. That obnoxious Instagram guru making bank on courses is doing something right. Not their content, but their boldness to show up. Copy the courage, not the stupidity. But most important, don't lose yourself. Don't become an actual narcissist. Don't lose your ethics completely. The idea isn't to become a monster. The idea is to stop being a victim of your own mind. Your intelligence is a tool, not a prison guard. Let's circle back. Machiavelli watched the worst people become the richest because he understood the world rewards appearance, not reality. Nietzsche explained why. Master morality exists, and it runs money, even though we pretend it doesn't. Dunning-Kruger proved the most confident people are often the least competent, but they're the ones who get resources. Bonhoeffer warned that functional stupidity gives freedom of action that smart people lose through excessive analysis. All these thinkers point to one thing. The system doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards speed, boldness, social savvy, and the ability to project confidence. Now you have a choice. You can stay moral, careful, analytical, and broke. That's an honest path, and nobody will judge you. Or you can adapt. Take speed without losing quality. Take confidence without losing honesty. Take social activity without losing integrity. This isn't about becoming stupid. It's about stopping your brain from being the only voice in your head. Write in the comments which trap holds you most. Overthinking, weak connections, fear of appearing arrogant. Let's be honest. If this video made you rethink something about yourself, share it with someone who thinks the same way. Because the biggest danger isn't that idiots get rich. The biggest danger is that smart people let this continue without changing anything. Maybe the smartest thing you can do is stop being so damn smart.